Namaste. How are you feeling? Welcome to this Dharma study. Omri, Los Angeles. Hope you're doing well. Today we're going to be talking about Dharma verse 73. We're titling today's Dharma study Clout Chaser because it kind of deals with some ancient clout chasers at that monastery. Jetavana Monastery. It was going down at Jetavana 2,500 years ago. We think that these monks, they had it all together, that they were enlightened beings, that they were holier than thou. Well, just like today, where there are clout chasers and there are people who are consumed with status and they are hangers on and they're consumed by their own greed and avarice, just like that happens today, just like that happens on social media, just like that happens within your city, just like that happens within your workplace, just like that happens all around you and within you. It happened over 2,500 years ago at a small monastery called Jetavana. And we're going to talk about it today. We're going to talk about clout chasers in a historic context and clout chasers today, how their motivations are quite similar, right? So thank you for joining me today. I am Omri. This is our Dharma study. We get together every once in a while, every now and then, and I just come to you to talk about mindful values, right? How to get back close to your heart. Because it's so easy to get caught up in thinking another way, that somehow, you know what, if only I just get everything that I want, right? If only I just get the bigger bank account, if only I just get the bigger house, if only I just get the better partner or mate, better looking, like if only I get the nicer car, then I'll be happy. Then I'll be at peace. Then I won't be so caught up and consumed with my own issues. Well, the reality is we carry the baggage within us, right? The baggage from trauma, the baggage from old wounds, the baggage from even inherited genetic stress profiles. We carry that all with us. And we have to find a way, a skillful way to meet it, to contain it, not suppress it, but to contain it in a gentle way. And so the Dharma helps us to do that. And so thanks for joining me for this Dharma study. I hope that you find value in it as we get into it today. So let's get started. We do it by singing this song. Wherever you are, you may feel like, you know what, I don't really want to do this. I'm very important. I have high status. Can't make myself look foolish by singing this song. Well, my friend, let me tell you this. It is good to see you again. And I want to invite you to sing this song as a celebration of Sangha, as a celebration of community. Here we go. Double heart taps if you got joy. Double heart taps if you got peace. Double heart taps if you meditate. Double heart taps for you. Double heart taps for me. Peace in, love out, namaste. How you feeling today, Sangha? I'm feeling well, I'm feeling good, and I am ready to get into this Dharma study tonight. We got an audience member today, joined today by the Nutcracker. I didn't put much decorations out this holiday season, but let me tell you this. I've always enjoyed decorating for the holidays, and so I just thought it was fitting that I bring out one decoration, right? This Nutcracker, and he'll be the audience for today. So let's get started. Let's take a deep dive into our Dharma study. We're going to be taking a look at verse 73, as it says on the board behind me. And we're going to be talking about clout chasers, right? And so the Dharma, it doesn't quite use the word clout chaser, but it does say something that I think will really resonate. And as always, this setting, as it so often is the Jetavana Monastery. Let me tell you this, it all goes down at Jetavana. Do not think that this was the most enlightened place. There was drama taking place at this monastery. There was confusion taking place at this monastery. There was misunderstandings and mishaps taking place at this monastery, just as they take place within your workplace and within your home and within your community. It's all a cycle. It keeps repeating itself over and over again. Why? Because we get consumed by avarice and it's so easy to forget. And so let's take a deep dive into the Dharma. Let's start by first taking a deep breath in, inhale, and release. It starts off. It says in verse 73, the fool seeks undeserved reputation, precedence among monks, authority over monasteries, and honor among householders. Isn't that like somebody? It starts off by saying the fool, right? So it instantly ascribes a title of in that isn't recognizing your nobility, right? When someone is called a fool, it is not a good thing in the Dharma. It is meaning that they are being consumed by something, right? They're being consumed by an emotion. They're being consumed by a pattern, a behavior that maybe they are or are not aware of, right? It's probably even worse if they are aware of it. But a lot of times in life, the fool in this text is someone who is just caught up, right? They're pressed, right? They're the clout chaser, and so it says the fool seeks undeserved reputation, but you could easily say the clout chaser seeks undeserved reputation, right? They're latched on to someone else's status. They're latched on to someone else, right? And they are not even there for a noble reason. They're not there because they care about the person. They're just there to feed their ego, to feed and consume their status, right? So they can grow their own. And so the Dharma says that they seek undeserved reputation. Have you ever in your life sought undeserved reputation, right? There may be times when you took credit for work that someone else did, right? And we all know what that's like when someone takes credit for the work that we did, right? We know that we spent hours, we gave up weekends, we put in all this effort, we put in all this hard work, and someone else just wrote their name on it, said, this was me, right? They were able to get a co-signer status on your work. And we know how it feels like that is so wrong, right? That you don't even get to take part in celebrating the work. Someone else is able to use that to help bolster their experiences, bolster their careers, bolster their lives. And you sometimes are diminished. It's like, why are you slacking? Because you often get compared to that other person who took credit for the work. And we know what that feels like. You know what that feels like, that it is not a good feeling, right? This undeserved reputation, right? You can, sometimes there's this saying, fake it till you make it, right? And sometimes when people fake it, they try to seek out an undeserved reputation, an undeserved status. They have not put in the work. They have not put in the effort. They have not gone on the journey. And when you have not gone on the journey, it's hard to know. Because not everything, listen, the menu does not give you what it will finally taste like. The review is not going to be exactly what your experience is like. I don't know if you've ever seen a tour guide who had never gone on the particular tour that they were on, but every time they do it, they're constantly looking down and referencing, right? They're trying to look at their notes and they're trying to make sure that it's all correct. And they're trying to align what they see, what they expect with the reality around them. And it's not necessarily coalescing. There's not a congruence there. And similarly, when you see someone who has been a well-trained, right? They know their way around. They're a great tour guide. They're well-versed. They've heard the questions a million of times before. They can answer them. They can answer them in witty ways. They can keep the flow moving. They know how long it would take. They're well-informed, right? And that's the benefit of experience. And so When you have an undeserved reputation, you don't have an experience to back it. You don't have a history to justify it. And there's something to be said about having gone through the fire. You know, when we put food into the fire, it goes through a chemical transformation. It can never go back to its raw state. It can never go back to its uncooked form. It can never go back to what it once was. Once it goes through the fire, once it goes through the searing, once it hits the pan, once it goes through that process of transformation, it can no longer go back. The door is shut to where it came from. And similarly in our lives, when we go through an experience of something, when we start the business, it is a change within you, a mental change, a physiological change, an emotional change that you go through. It is a sifting agent, and you can't go back to how it was before. You can't go back to seeing the world through the lens that you used to see it through when you've gone through the transformation, when you've gone through the process. And similarly, when you go and be a part of the Dharma and meditate, right, and practice mindfulness and live the Dharma, you can't go back to how you used to be. You always are endowed with that new awareness, with that new way of seeing and understanding and viewing the world. And that's the beauty of our practice. That's the beauty of what we do. You can't go back. You can't unknow. You can't undo in this situation. Now you can be careless and pretend and forget, but you can't undo. You ever get to a point in a document where you can't undo, right? They let you undo, 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 undo. And then you get to a point where you can no longer undo, where the history is written, where you can't go back to where it began. It has changed form. It has changed shape. Its destiny has been imprinted upon it, just as your destiny has been imprinted upon your heart. And so it says, the fool seeks undeserved reputation, precedence among monks, right? And that's just like someone who's a clout chaser. Not only do they want to take someone's, status, right, their standing, their history, right? They want to absorb that. They also then want to lord it over someone else. They want everyone to think they are the person in charge. I like this show. It's called American Greed. It's on CNBC, and in it always has these criminals, right? And they want to be perceived as having, lots of money, lots of power, and lots of influence. And so all the money that they get doing these shady deals and doing these schemes and scams, they then go out and use it to buy big houses and fine cars and expensive clothes and hold lavish parties. And they use all the ill-gotten gains for greater status. They want to lord it over someone else. That not only did I use nefarious means to get it, I then want to extend, right, compound the influence. And then it outlines that's what people do, right? They have the undeserved reputation, right? The clout chaser has the undeserved reputation, and then they seek precedence among the monks. They want to be the big person in the room. They want to be Una. They want to be the king. They want to be the high priest. They want to be someone of importance, right? Someone in the inner circle. And it says that, and then they want to seek authority over monasteries. There is something to be said about authority and about control. Some people are drawn, right? It is innate that they must control. They must control people. They must control situations. They must control their environment, right? And we see people like that on historic commissions and on planning boards, and we see them on homeowners associations, right? That there are people who take an immense amount of pleasure in having that level of control, right? Of being able to say and dictate, these are the rules for how we will engage. And And when you're a cloud chaser, when you're not, when you're doing that just to give yourself an ego boost, and you're not doing it necessarily to, create safety standards or to have a sense of cohesion amongst the community, and you're just doing that to bolster yourself, right? Your grass can't, you're right, it can't be over 1.5 inch and then bring out the ruler to make sure it's 1.5, right? It's like it creates this very tedious kind of relationship, right? And so the cloud chasers, they want authority, right? They want to, not only do they want precedence, right? Not only do they want to be received as someone important, they want to have the power over someone, to be able to control it. And authority, that's a big deal, right? When we think about a political office that someone holds, it is the office, it is the authority that they represent that has the power, that has the control. And similarly, they also seek honor among householders, right? Cloud traders, they seek honor among householders. So they want the status, they want the power, they want the authority, and they also want the honor. They want the glory. They want the praise, right? They want the praise amongst lots of people. They want everybody to know it. And that's how clout chasers can be, right? Just as the fool can be. They want everybody to know that they're the person in charge, that they got it, that they did it, right? That they are there, even if it's undeserved, even if they got the undeserved reputation, right? And so there's a story that goes on, that goes in connection with this teaching. And it went down at Jetavana Monastery, and there was a householder. His name was Sita, right? Sita. And a householder is someone who's, just living their day-to-day life. They're growing their business, they're tending to their crops, they're doing what they have to do in order to survive. And then one day he decided to go to the monastery. And when he arrived at the monastery, he said, "Hey, guess what? I really like what you guys are doing here. This is great work. Thanks for helping me to, right, awaken, right, with my meditation and with my mindfulness. I want to invite you back to my place, to as a thank you, right? When you go on your alms rounds, when you go to seek, support, come back to my place so I can properly thank you for what you've done." And one of the monks, right, one of the monks was like, kind of jealous, a little peeved off that the other monks were invited first. It wasn't that he wasn't invited, the other ones were invited first, right? And the ones that were invited first were kind of like the head monks, right? They were the ones in the position of authorities. And the text says that this one monk became consumed with rage, right? He just became so angry about this. And he couldn't stand it, right? He just couldn't stand it that this Sita person had invited other people before him, right? And have you ever been that way? Like, you ever, like, and let's just be real, like, in your day-to-day life, perhaps you've come up in a situation where you felt like, hey, maybe I should have got a little bit of that recognition, right? Or maybe you felt a little jealousy, maybe you felt a little envy, right? These are not foreign human emotions, right? This isn't something that most people don't feel. A lot of people feel it quite frequently in their life, right? Have you felt jealousy? Have you felt envy, right? Over something that someone else had, over a status that someone else held, right? We all know what that's like. So let's not go around just pretending that we don't know what this is like, that we've never been jealous in our lives. Like, let's be real, just for a second. Like, let down the ego. Just be real. I certainly know what that's like. And so this monk, he became kind of envious and consumed with anger. And he showed up at Sita's house eventually for his alms round. And when he got there, he said, listen, I'm not going into your house, after Sita invited him in. And he said, I'm not going in there because you invited these other monks first before me. Why did you do that? Right? And he just was kind of bitter, angry, jealous. And, when we're bitter and angry and jealous, we often kind of do selfish acts, right? Instead of getting the food, instead of being welcomed, instead of going into the party, he stood at the door of the party and just tried to spoil it for someone else. Do you know what that's like? Not only are you feeling negative about something, but you want to spoil it for someone else, right? The Germans, they have this phrase, it's called Schadenfreude, and it means that not only do you want to win, you want to see who you're against, your opponent. You want to see them suffer. You want to see them fail, right? And that's sometimes the case when we're jealous or bitter or angry. We want to see the other person fail. And so in this particular situation, the monk, he was standing outside the house and he was just kind of angry. He wasn't going to go into the party. He was just in there looking, right, just upset, right? And just kind of spoiling the good time of everyone else. And wouldn't step foot into Sita's house and made sure Sita knew that he wasn't going into his house, right? That he wasn't going to celebrate, that he wasn't going to receive. And the text goes on to say that this monk, he was envious about the party, right? He was invited to the party. He refused to go into the party, and he stood outside of the party. But then it says that he was envious of the party. Do you know what that's like? Right? To be envious of something, to be able to inhabit it and choose not to, right? Choose to reject it and still want it, right? To want the thing that you rejected. Is this resonating with anybody? To have something that you desired, you decided for whatever reason not to go after it or to not to pursue it, to diminish it, to push it away, to focus on something else. And then you still want it, right? Isn't that quite human? Isn't that that's the complexity that we live in? When people say they put on their status that it's complicated, that's kind of like one of those situations where it's like yourself and your humanity just wrapped in your confusion and your ignorance and your foolishness. That's kind of how we live sometimes, right? That's our lives. And so I just thought it was very interesting that we arrive at this place in this text at a very human place, at a very interesting place to live and to be. That we have this complex set of emotions and motivations, that we want something, but at the same time, we push it away, right? That we want to celebrate something, but at the same time, we choose to reject it and suppress it. And we see that with politicians all the time, where politicians, they're vocal against something, right? They're vocal against against some specific group, yet at the same time they're so vocal against it, they're also hiding something about themselves, right? We've seen that. We know what that's like. And it's quite a human thing to do. And so finally, the monk who said he wouldn't go out, go into the party, he actually said some very harsh words, right? Not only did he because he couldn't restrain his anger, he was just he was just mad that everybody was having a good time. And he had to let everybody know just how displeased he was. And he said, the text says that he abused, right? He used abusive language and said, I don't want to stay at your monastery any longer, right? Right. The rage built up so much where it wasn't enough that he was standing outside and looking mad and frustrated and envious of the party that he was invited to but chose not to go to. But then he stormed off after telling the host, I cannot stand it here. I can't stand you. I can't stand your party. I can't stand these people who are here. And he left. And it says that this monk, he went back home, and he had began to have a conversation. And he was questioned. He said, why did you insult Sita? Right? Why did you insult this person who was throwing the party? They're very generous to us, right? They donate food, they support us, they're one of our biggest donors. You should go back and apologize and own up to your mistakes, right? And it says, you're being filled with pride and you are being conceited at the same time. And this, at this place, right? This is something that you have to address. Your bitterness, your conceitedness, and your pride. Because if you have such thoughts and covetedness and your pride, it will continue to increase, right? Your pride, covetousness, it continues to grow. And so after that was said, right after that whole exchange, this verse was spoken, verse number 73. The fool seeks undeserved reputation, precedence among monks, authority over monasteries, and honor among householders. You see how it just kind of keeps building. When you're consumed with pride and being conceited, it's never enough. You always have to keep fueling the fire, right? You always want more. You have to have more status. You have to have a bigger influence. You have to have more authority. You have to have more honor. You have to have more praise, right? It's just never enough. The ego just keeps wanting more and more and more. It can never be satisfied. And so this is why we have to watch our pride. And this is why we have to watch when we are conceited and envious and jealous, because it's never enough. The jealousy will never stop. It will only continue to grow larger and larger. And until you address it, until, as this one monk said, that you have to go back and to apologize, to own up to your mistake, right? In your life, there may be areas of your ego where you have to own up to it and apologize and come back to a place of being in balance. And so that's really what this verse is about. Let me say it from another chapter. I mean, another version of it. It says, "Fools want unwarranted status, deference from fellow monks, authority in the monasteries, and homage from good families." Right? From the support of good families, right? People of high social status within the community. And so if you find yourself at some point clout chasing, right? If your ego has just taken control of you and your situation, if you are consumed with pride and envy and jealousy, this is the opportunity to begin to create a sense of spaciousness around it, some ease around it, some gentleness around it, knowing that it may not go away overnight. And these are very common human experiences, right? And they may be rooted in something, right? They may be rooted in an insecurity. They may be rooted in a past trauma. They may be rooted in a genetic preconditioning, right? It may be rooted in something, but it still must be addressed. And that's why we begin to do this work when we meditate. And that's why we endeavor down this mindful path. And this is why we practice the Dharma, so that we can remember that we can choose another way, that you do not have to stay caught up in a cycle of reactivity. Just because you've been prideful all your life does not mean you have to stay that way. Just because you've been envious and jealous for most of your life does not mean you have to stay there. Just because your ego runs out of control and roughshod over everything it crosses doesn't mean that it has to stay that way. You can choose another way. It is possible. This teaching of the Dharma, our practice of meditation, this mindful lifestyle, they are all reminders that point you towards another way of being, another way of relating, another way of holding space and tending to. And so with that, let's meditate, right? Just for a little bit, just really to hold this space and to bear witness and to begin this journey of tending to areas of pride, ego, jealousy, and envy that consume our own heart. And I know that consume my heart at some points. And so let's do that. Okay. Let me get the everything set up, and then we'll start our meditation. I invite you to say our affirmation of nobility. I have value and I have worth because I am of noble birth. And with this breath, I will awaken to all that's possible within my life. I will lead and I will achieve. I will lead and I will achieve. Nicely done. If you said that simple affirmation, you're well on your way towards your ennoblement. I invite you to call yourself to stillness, coming into an upright and comfortable seated position, allowing your left hand to support your right hand, thumbs curling up until the tips touch, placing your hands gently into your lap, closing your eyes if it's safe and comfortable to do so, taking a deep breath in and out as you settle into your meditation practice. And finding a sense of equanimity, a power to meet whatever arises as we take our seat in meditation, as we hold this space. Sometimes we can be blinded by confusion, wrecked with doubt and insecurity, and these may contribute to our ego's rise. That when we don't feel safe, that when we don't feel secure, we turn to the most powerful force within us. And sometimes that powerful force can be one of confusion, one of foolishness. And so we take a skillful turn towards balance and towards ease with our meditation, to choose another way. And in this meditation, we hold a space for releasing the arrogance and pride of our lives, of letting go some of the envy and jealousy that may consume us, and seek out a path of abundance, possibility, that is not measured by the status of others, but is measured by the worth of ourselves and our experiences and our actions. May you all be happy and free, safe and well, as we prepare for the ennoblement blessing. With this breath, I affirm your vision. And I affirm the person who holds the vision. And I affirm the values that guide the person who holds the vision. And I affirm the intention that sparks the values that guides the person who holds the vision. May your next step be marked by destiny. May your purpose continue to unfold. May you be met with wisdom and insight as you navigate fields of abundance, possibility, and potential. May you be well. May you be protected. May you be whole. Namaste. Well practiced, Sangha. What a privilege it was to be able to meditate with you and to hold space with you during this Dharma study. Remember this message and remember this verse from number 73. The fool seeks undeserved reputation, precedence among monks, authority over monasteries, and honor among householders. You don't have to stay stuck in a cycle of being a clout chaser, of allowing your ego to take control. You can find a sense of authentic power, right? And through your genuine experiences, you can have a deserved reputation and a deserved honor by endeavoring with diligence and being a good steward of what has been entrusted to you, of allowing the purpose that has been placed upon your life to be released into this world. All right. So until next time, put one finger up if you hold a space for love within your life, within your heart. Put two fingers up for peace if you're about peace, if you rep peace, if you think peace is important. Put three fingers up for this mindful community. That means you, that means me, that means we, all of us. Now bring it all in to awaken your heart. And may your mind be free. Many deep bows of gratitude to you all for your practice here today. May you lead and achieve in life. Peace in, love out. Namaste. Take care of yourself. I'll see you back here next time.